If you look actually in most parts of Europe, you haven't really seen a meaningful pickup in infection rates. So it looks like in China and Europe, maybe they started to reopen the economy once they got infection rates low enough for it to be a sustainable reopening. Whereas in the UK and certainly parts of the US, I have concerns that perhaps the economy is starting to reopen because of the economic consequences of the shutdowns, but before the virus and the infection rates have been brought under control. And so to me, that seems like the key risk to the positive sentiment that we see at the moment.
Yeah, very interesting. I mean, Matt, the contact tracing app, and Mike, you'll I'm sure have been reading about this too, is not up and running here in the UK, may well not be up and running until September. So very difficult to get control if you don't have the tools in place. Look, just briefly on Christine Lagarde yesterday, Mike, she was encouraging politicians to get on with it in terms of the pandemic package. Are you confident that is going to come through fairly quickly?
I don't know. I certainly hope so, right? It's absolutely key that we do get this package. And if we do, I think it'll be a very positive step for Europe in the direction of more fiscal integration, which, of course, that lack of fiscal integration in Europe has been the kind of fundamental flaw at the heart of the Eurozone ever since it was created. So I think if we do see this package pass, then it's a big positive in that it'll enable further support for Italy in particular and some of the harder hit economies in Europe. But it is absolutely crucial that it gets through.
All right, Mike, thanks so much for joining us. Mike Bell there from JP Morgan Asset Management, coming to us on radio and on Bloomberg Television today. Appreciate your insights in really this important, this important milestone in markets. Let's get over now to Leanne Gerrans with your World National News. Leanne?
Matt, thank you. Boris Johnson will talk his cabinet through his plans for easing lockdown restrictions later today. That comes as the UK reported the lowest number of daily deaths since the measures were imposed, with London reporting no new coronavirus deaths. Health Secretary Matt Hancock says Monday's positive data means the government can press on with its plans, but he denies the easing of the lockdown is about balancing public safety and economic recovery.
There just isn't a trade-off. If we don't have control of this virus, then the economy will suffer yet more. And the job of the government and the work of the government has been to get the infection rate right down, and then the task is to hold it down whilst safely reopening.
Meanwhile, the UK is still on schedule to reopen non-essential shops on June the 15th. The World Health Organization says it's very rare for people without symptoms to pass on the coronavirus. It contradicts speculation about the prevalence of so-called asymptomatic transmission. Let's hear from Maria van Kerkhove, head of the WHO's Emerging Diseases and Zoonocist Unit.
It still appears to be rare that an asymptomatic individual actually transmits onward. What we really want to be focused on is following the symptomatic cases.
In other news, over in the US, Democrats are proposing a sweeping police reform bill following weeks of protest against brutality and racism. They're hoping to turn the energy from nationwide unrest into concrete legal changes. One key change is they want to make it easier to prosecute and sue law enforcement officers. A vote is planned in the House of Representatives later this month. And as Matt mentioned earlier, in the Netherlands, Amsterdam's planning to clean up its sex and drugs tourism in a reboot. This comes after the coronavirus pandemic raged in March and April, turning it into a ghost town. The mayor has laid out a plan for locals to now reclaim their city. It includes buying property and limiting permits to ensure that the old city is not filled with just cannabis coffee shops and sex workers. Global news 24 hours a day, on air and on Quick Take by Bloomberg, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Leanne Gerrans. This is Bloomberg Caroline.
Thank you so much, Leanne Gerrans, with the World News Update. Now, still ahead on Bloomberg Daybreak Europe, the White House says that it's still deciding on whether to withdraw troops from Germany. We're going to talk to Bloomberg opinion columnist Andreas Kluth about why he thinks such a move would be a disaster. Of course, this is, decades since the troops have been in Germany. You're listening to Bloomberg Daybreak Europe. We're live from London and Berlin this morning.
president of the Jewish Communal Fund, Zoya Rains, and her husband, Robert Friedman, Jewish activists and philanthropists, talk about why they chose the Jewish Communal Fund for their charitable giving.
As very busy working parents, we wanted to focus more on the charity part of it and wanted to focus more on our children and less on the administration.
The Jewish Communal Fund is one of the oldest and largest donor-advised funds, but at the same time, they're totally up to date and have state-of-the-art systems for us to access and manage our contributions online. The assets in our fund at the JCF grow tax-free, so we can generate more charitable dollars to support the charities that we care about most.
Let JCF minimize your taxes and maximize your charitable giving.
We're incredibly passionate about our charity, and the JCF allows us to focus more on the charity and less on the administration and the headaches.
For more information about Jewish Communal Fund, visit our website at jcfny.org and request a new fund kit.
When the market is unpredictable, BAM gives you certainty. In the face of volatility and illiquidity, BAM-insured municipal bonds deliver default protection, value preservation, and a durable AA rating from S&P. BAM's insurance protects against everything that causes a default, including natural disasters, financial fraud, pension issues, and economic disruption, like the one we're experiencing right now. BAM. Build America Mutual. Ask your broker about BAM-insured municipal bonds.
Imagine being fired because of who you love. Imagine being denied medical treatment because of who you marry. Imagine being evicted because of who you are. Millions of Americans don't have to imagine this. They have to live it. Because in 31 states, it's legal to discriminate against LGBT people. Get the facts at beyondido.org. Brought to you by the Gill Foundation and the Ad Council.
Influential conversations from Bloomberg Television. Here's Rishad Salamat.
Multiplex owners in India have been hit by plunging revenues due to the coronavirus lockdown. One such player is PVR. It's actually the company which pioneered the multiplex revolution in the country. Just bring in Chairman and MD Ajay Bijli. How bad are things there at the moment? Is it a short-term hit, or does it actually change the structural nature of cinema going in any way?
I think structural change, I don't think will happen, but of course it's a huge, extraordinary event that has happened in the last 100 years, as everybody's become very familiar with history now. Nothing like this has ever happened before. But I think definitely if you are closed for a long time and that there is so much skepticism in people to go out of their homes once the lockdown does open, I think it's going to be a slow burn. We were the first ones to have been asked to lock down, and we'll be the last ones, unfortunately, to be asked to open up. So I think it's going to be a slow burn, people coming out, new movies getting released. There's going to be a tentativeness. But, everybody, all establishments, whether your hotels, restaurants, airlines, all are taking safety measures. We'll be taking global standard safety measures to make our customers and guests feel safe and secure. But I do feel that it's going to take time before the industry picks up.
Hear more interviews like this one on Bloomberg Television, streaming live on Bloomberg.com and on the Bloomberg mobile app, or check your local cable listings.
Markets, headlines and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app and on Bloomberg. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
Good morning from Bloomberg's world headquarters in New York City. I'm Anne-Marie Horder with this Bloomberg Radio Business Flash. It's the morning after a historic rally yesterday. Quite stunning. The S&P 500 traded back into positive territory for the year. This morning, though, we are seeing a pause in that risk appetite, some of that animal spirit out there. U.S. futures are down more than 0.8%. European equities are firmly in the red now. We are seeing red arrows across the board from London, Paris, Frankfurt to Milan as well. The FTSE MIB and the IBEX as well. Those are heavily down 2%. The Stock 600 is down 0.5%, being led lower by banks, auto parts, and insurance companies. Those are all down more than 1% this morning. We are seeing the Bloomberg Dollar Index to the upside today, up 0.4%. More firmly, it is higher after 9 days of losses. Of course, we all are waiting the Fed policy decision that comes out tomorrow. And oil this morning is also in the red. $40 a barrel, 22 cents on Brent crude. Yesterday, we heard from the Saudi oil minister, His Royal Highness Prince Abdulaziz. He said that they will end the extra voluntary output curbs at the end of this month. That's a Bloomberg Radio Business Flash. Now here's Leanne Garens with more on what's going on around the world. Leanne, good morning.
Anne-Marie, good morning and thank you. Lockdowns across the world may have prevented about 500 million coronavirus infections. That's according to the first peer review analysis of the impact of health policies. The virus has now caused some 7 million reported cases of COVID-19 globally, with more than 400,000 fatalities. Germany's recorded an increase in the number of new coronavirus cases. There were 359 new cases this morning, according to data from Johns Hopkins University. That compares to 300 yesterday. The country's reproduction factor of the virus, known as R0, rose above the key threshold of 1. And North Korea is cutting communications with the South over what it calls hostile acts. The statement appears to refer to leaflets critical of leader Kim Jong-un being sent across the border by anti-Pyongyang activists. The two nations are about to mark the 20th anniversary of the first summit between their leaders. There were hopes this could be a moment of reconciliation. Global news 24 hours a day, on air and on Quick Take by Bloomberg, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Leanne Gerrans. This is Bloomberg.
Bloomberg Opinion, informed perspectives, and expert data-driven commentary on breaking news.
It is 9:20 in the city. Time to check in with Bloomberg Opinion. We're joined by opinion columnist Andrea